Hello and welcome back to the Métropole Grid. My name is Andrej.
I'm Benoit.
I'm Patrick.
And thanks again for tuning in. So Democracy and Dogma has just come out. We've had a week or so to playtest some cards, see what they can do. Without further ado, shall we jump into the corporation side?
Sure. I guess we have no choice.
We don't. So let's start out with an HB agenda. This is a 5-for-3 agenda. It's called Voting Machine Initiative. It's an initiative agenda, that makes sense. And it says place 3 agenda counters on Voting Machine Initiative when you score it. When the runner's turn begins, you may spend 1 hosted agenda counter. If you do, the runner loses a click if able.
And there's no maximum number of counters that you can spend.
No, it looks like you can do 3 on one turn, which would be an incredibly obnoxious thing to do.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So like you can combo this with team sponsorship to install an agenda right away, and then the next turn the runner only has 1 click to respond.
Click.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's honestly...
And then you can re-put counters on it with when you score, redo the thing.
Oh,
There's
yeah,
an
the
agenda
when
when you score, you...
Yeah.
Oh, you mean a Bifrost array.
Yeah, Bifrost Ray.
Cool.
That's true. Yeah, you could do that.
Re-trigger it.
Even if it's only once per turn, I think it's powerful.
Yeah. Yeah, losing a click is a pretty big deal.
Yeah, especially click for like 1 click per turn for the next 3 turns. That's rough.
Yeah, especially considering this is HB, so they already have Biroids, which you can click through, or something like Turing, which a lot of runners sometimes just have to click through.
Yeah, they run code gate breakers, and there you go.
Admittedly, this is a 5-3, which is something which I don't see myself being that excited for it in Netrunner.
It's hard. I mean, it is a powerful ability. It's more powerful than other 5-3s we've seen out of HB.
Yeah.
Such as
like this is what I think because that's what Wotan came down to is if you're strapping another subroutine onto a Biroid, if it's not a 2.0 Biroid, you're basically saying lose a click a turn.
Yeah.
And this does that, but it also affects if they're not running.
And it's also only end the run that you add.
Exactly.
So it's not even like
this trash a program,
trash or anything.
Yeah. This is so much more flexible.
Yeah,
I think I like this way better than.
Oh, me too. I actually
one
quite
more
like
credit or one more click.
And if I felt like my deck was tight on influence, then I would play this instead of Global Food Initiative. Maybe it's a powerful ability.
Yeah.
Well, one thing though, it does. If the runner for some reason has adjusted chronotype out without any other cards, this card is useless.
Doesn't do that much.
Yeah, just negate it.
Unless you do multiple in a turn.
Unless you do multiple ones in one turn, in which case,
So I guess you could do this with something like Ruhr Valley, which makes the runner lose a click if they run that server. And if you have advanced login protocols, maybe they can only make 1 run a whole game. A turn.
And then there's like Strongbox and Ronald 5 to add on to the quick loss, and then Ryan Knight at the end for a little cherry on top.
I can't wait to see what happens with 5-3s. I think Caprice is less good now that political operative is something.
Yeah.
So 5-3s are going to be
a bit harder
harder to score.
Yeah.
I think we're going to see some powerful 5-3s come out.
Maybe this with Mushin. You just put
Mushin
on it.
Mushin.
Yeah, exactly. But 5-3s are Mushinable.
Yeah, totally.
Mushinable.
That's the easiest way to score 5-3.
And then you can drain their clicks, and what are they going to do?
Nothing.
Yeah.
Not much.
Cool.
It's nice. Next, we have a HB asset called Clone Suffrage Movement. It's 1 res, 2 trash. It says, when your turn begins, you may add 1 operation from archive directly to HQ if there is no ice protecting the server.
It's a political asset.
Yeah.
That's a new subtype.
So here in Democracy and Dogma, we are dealing with a lot of political dealings.
Yep.
And as a result, every single corp faction in this part of the data pack gets a political asset. And they're all almost the same. They cost 1 or 0 to res. They're 2 trash cost. And they have a really interesting ability that only fires if it's not protected by ice. Which... it's easy to do. You just put it in the server.
Yeah, there you go.
You're good.
Yeah, but they can also trash it pretty easily, which is the huge drawback from them.
A lot of these, you're going to get 1 use out of them probably, because you res it at the end of the runner's turn, then you use its ability. But then the runner will have a whole turn to deal with it. So you have to figure out a way to protect it without really protecting it in the traditional sense.
Yeah. So let's not talk exactly about this, but just all the politicals in general.
For sure.
So say you want to protect this. There's a couple ways I think you could do it. Firstly is you can play some sort of ice that protects it, and then the ice comes off of the thing right before you're going to fire the ability.
Yep. Your Himitsubaku's,
Himitsubaku or
your
Blue Sun.
Everything in Blue Sun.
Yeah, is the only way to feasibly do that.
But at the same time, if you install ice in front and they don't run, then you don't...
can't bounce.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
And you don't have the ability to trigger the thing.
No.
Like, even if you res it, there's 1 unresed ice in front. So
that's fair.
So that's a bit janky, admittedly.
Yeah.
So that might not be the best. The other option is to protect it with upgrades or disincentivize running.
Yeah.
And I think both of those are incredibly potent.
And
It could
doable.
be.
Yes.
Already done, actually. You can already asset spam, install too many cards that the runner feels
can't
like...
deal with all of these.
Yeah, there's no way I'm going to run everything. So this is doable.
And if they run these, they're not running your agendas or your other valuable assets.
Or R&D.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's okay. Specifically, some of the upgrades that work really well with this. Okay, so let's go through the factions. HB has something called Oaktown Grid, which you strap onto a server, and it makes the trash cost of all of these cards increase by 3.
Yeah.
Unless you trash the Oaktown first and then come back. But
That
the
is a
Oaktown is
liability.
expensive.
Yeah, sure.
So that's 2 clicks maybe down the drain, a lot of
Product
money.
placement?
Product placement's really good.
I
Yeah,
think.
product place is an excellent idea. I
Yeah.
like that a lot.
You get 2 credits if they run it. If they trash that, it's another 2 credits.
Yep.
And
If they don't trash it, you just reinstall
that's your
something on
political
it.
server.
Maybe you had paywall implementation the whole time.
Maybe.
Yeah. Paywall's pretty good.
We are not going faction by faction.
No, we're not.
No,
That's
we're
fine.
not.
You have cards also in yellow, like
Yeah.
Bernie's Mine.
Yeah.
Maybe you get a tag.
Gives it a
Of
tag
course.
at the end.
Things like I like disposable HQ a lot. No, almost no one's gonna pay 5 credits to trash that card.
It's an ambush upgrade. I love it.
Yeah, it's pretty sweet. Otherwise, there's a card called Self Destruct.
Oh, that's a
You can
solid
sacrifice.
choice.
Real
Yeah.
goofy.
2 net damage.
3 net damage.
it's 3 net damage.
It's just trace 2.
Trace 2, yeah.
Yeah, they do save the credits, not having to trash anything, but still fun.
But it's still scary.
Yeah.
And then cards like Hostile Infrastructure or Ronald 5.
Ronald 5 is a big deal.
Yeah.
Even just things like Nerlane P, which is if you ran, I'm gonna shock you.
Yeah, well, I mean, on that same matter, C-Source.
Yeah, Caesar's always
You're
fire.
forcing them to make a successful run because they have to trash that annoying card. Even if they were planning on avoiding making successful runs until they really knew it. Yeah.
Yeah, and then cards like I don't think Ash is particularly that good considering you just spend 2 clicks.
It's just
usually.
2 runs, yeah.
But things like Caprice could work. It might get expensive, but if you play something like a Nisei division, you actually can have a bit of fun with it, where you're not spending that much money protecting off of a Nisei. But
Or even Gagarin can...
Gagarin, that's tax.
One more?
Enhanced login protocols, that's tax.
Yeah.
And eventually, the runner might just roll over. Like I don't know if you can.
Trash everything?
Trash
Run
everything.
everything?
Can you keep up? So let's talk about this one specifically.
Yeah.
Being able to add one operation from archives to HQ is a powerful ability. Like you usually have to spend some clicks or some money getting that ability to work.
Yeah.
It's like the same old thing for the Corp, in a sense.
Yes. Or the one you play in HB where you bring 1 card back.
Archive memories.
Archive memory, but every turn if they don't trash.
Yeah.
It's weird that it's in HB, a faction that doesn't play heavily into operations.
Well, biotic labor.
Okay, Biotic Labor.
That's a good one to
Never
pull
mind.
back.
Yeah,
Or hedge funds.
Hedge fund's a hedge fund.
yeah,
And punch.
yeah, for sure.
And the thing is also you could throw away cards that are maybe better later in the game. Like, oh, maybe, what's that card? I always forget the name. That gives you credit for every ice that's rezzed.
Peak efficiency.
Peak efficiency,
Oh, yeah,
right?
you can discard it when you don't
Yeah.
need it. Bring it back later.
I see that card always in my starting hand. I'm like, okay, well, this is going to be useful later.
Yeah.
And then I throw it out. And then that you get a nice Vitruvius or something. And this does that.
Absolutely.
Also lets you kind of recur those niche kind of hate cards, as you could call them. Like I've been playing an HB deck that runs a Snatch and Grab, and I'll swear by it. Snatch and Grab is great.
Yeah, it is good.
And
There's
now
a
I
couple
can
good
think,
connections.
oh, Snatch and Grab looks pretty sweet right now. Let's pull it back.
Yeah.
And if they don't deal with this, I'm going to Snatch and Grab next turn.
True.
And every turn I'll Snatch and Grab.
Yeah.
Good. So the flavor is that HB is trying to convince people that clone can vote
Yeah.
if they're now people.
Yes.
And we also are going to come down to clones are not people,
Yeah.
which is Jinteki.
I really like this. Like HB is a corporate competitor. Of
They
Kentucky.
print clones, right?
So they so they say clones are people. Just not biroids. Leave the biroids to us.
Pirates are not people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that a lot.
That's nice.
It's a really cool flavor. I like that political war.
Next card.
Next card is Bioethics Association. It's a Jinteki political asset. It costs 1 to res, 2 to trash. It says, when your turn begins, do 1 net damage if there's no ice protecting the server, and it's 2 influence.
This is good.
Yeah,
a very
I mean,
powerful ability.
if you spend time this past week or so on Netrunner DB, you've probably seen the IG decks that use this card really efficiently because IG has
This is 1,000
protection
cuts.
without icing assets, and they also want to drain the runner of all cards.
Yeah.
So this card fits perfectly in that
Very
spot.
scary. Yeah, so it fits in that. I also like to see it in biotech.
Yeah.
You can res a,
Biotech's
few,
good.
res a few of these at the end of the runner's turn, and then you happen to have the ability that does 2 net damage, and that's
Because that's the thing
Oh,
is like
boy.
you have two of these on the table. You're playing Biotech. You're playing the tank. I think it's called the tank, right?
The tank or the brewery.
Yeah, the brewery. I think it is. And you res two of these. You flip your ID. That's 4 net damage.
It's so good.
Unconditional net damage. It doesn't
Yeah.
require a run. It doesn't require anything in particular. If you have a biotic, you can throw a neural EMP in there. You can play a chairman hero, get the hand size real down,
For sure.
and then just finish with a bunch of net damage from nowhere.
Yeah.
That's gross. And anything this is good in. Like, if you're running a deck that can threaten unadvanceable traps, like something like a psychic field is one of the worst unadvanceables to hit in Jinteki right
Absolutely.
as of currently. So the idea is that there's a bunch of servers out. Some of them are going to be, what are they called? Those psychic fields.
Yeah.
Some of them are going to be chairman heroes. Some of them are going to be
Ronins.
maybe. And some of them are going to be bioethics.
Yeah.
And if you don't pick right, suddenly the Ronin's going to come up. The bioethics is going to come
Yeah.
up.
And
someone's
these are
gonna
not
score.
unique.
No,
Yeah.
they're not.
And you might be going
Just
into
res 2 or 3.
Yeah,
and
you might be going into your next turn with 0 cards because you
Yeah.
lost the psychic field game.
Yep.
And
So even
getting
that, like,
rough.
you res this and then you biotic out or you just score because it's on the table. You score out a flood of
yeah, it's scary how cheap they are. I mean, the
really
the
affordable.
2 trash cost is fine. I mean, I think
good.
it's really good.
That's
but
what it
the
needs to
1
be.
res cost, oh, it's so rough.
And the thing is, okay, if you want to go real asset spam, you want to do the industrial genomics thing,
Yep.
you're probably going to have in your deck 3 Museum of Histories.
Yeah, and Mumbad temples.
and
So
temples.
these are coming
Temples.
back.
So these are
So
res
these
for
are resin for
0.
free, and they're coming back
Ugh.
again and again and
Disgusting.
again. And eventually you're just going to be taking 3 net damage at the beginning of the corpse
I mean,
turn?
arguably, even if you net shield, it's too
Yeah.
expensive.
Net shield's only 1, but it's the first one.
It's
The
also-
feedback
Yeah.
filter. is
Feedback
expensive.
filter, I
it's
mean.
also happening
Yeah.
on the corpse turn, which means that let's say they're doing a Scorched Earth combo, and that's just all of a sudden so much easier to pull off.
Yeah. Yeah, 2 influences, not
That-
that bad.
No, not at all.
That could work in Gargarin or in
yeah,
anything else.
Gagarin kill deck.
Yeah, that's true. You only need 2 of these of fire for a single scorch to be a problem.
Maybe snipe the I've had worse.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like a lot of times you're just going to rest, it's going to snap,
Yeah.
and I've had worse,
Yeah.
and it's going to be fun. And then you can like sweep for a lot of money. So I have no doubt this card is going to be a big deal in the meta.
Of course.
It is. And I think there's a lot of ways to deal with it. And the ways to deal with it on a runner side are interesting.
Yeah.
And I think they should be considered. Feedback filter, I think that's what it's called, right? 3 credits to dodge and net damage.
Makes sense.
That's okay. You need money, but a lot against these decks, a lot of times money is fine.
Sure.
Net shield is also okay. We had a couple more interesting options with things like synthetic blood,
Yeah,
which came out a while ago, and
That's
that
maybe.
is a bit expensive, but that does help.
but it negates the damage. You
It
take 1 damage,
basically
draw 1
negates
card.
the damage. You also mentioned titanium ribs,
Titanium ribs.
which sounds cool. Because that's
I want titanium ribs.
the problem with criminal is that so sometimes 1 net damage can lose your 1 corroder, can lose your levy, can lose something like really important. Levy's not that bad, but the idea with titanium ribs, they do a net damage. You choose what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
choose
good.
what card
That's
to use.
all right.
That's good.
It's okay. Like titanium ribs is still a hard card to fit into a deck.
It is.
Yeah.
But the more painful, damaging cards we see, the more it starts to look like a very nice card. Especially like little cards that do 1 damage at a time.
And you can pick your I've had worse
You can pick your I've had worse.
Sure.
if you need to draw.
Also, I think drug dealer is inherently a really good way
For
to
sure.
fight this.
For sure.
Of course.
You get some cards, you do lose some cards, but you're not going to die.
Who chooses when the turn begins?
It's on their turn. So
Yeah, I think you take net damage before they won.
it depends on your
Probably.
hand.
Yeah.
If you have good stuff in your hand, draw a drug dealer first.
But
Oh, it's
they
up to
decide.
them.
Yes,
Yeah,
of course,
so
sure.
yeah, that's true.
It's not going to prevent dying, but probably from something else, like a Ronin.
I think you'd ask them what they want, and then you do that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we're
Yeah.
playing a polite game here.
Yeah. Also, of course, hostile infrastructure is in Jinteki. Throw that down, throw these down. You're going to take net damage no matter what.
Yep.
That's
Crazy.
gross.
Gross card. Good card.
Really good. Cool. So we have another Jinteki asset. This is 4 credits to res. It's a bit more expensive. It's called Political Dealings. It is CD, which is something that doesn't show up that
I
often.
think it's the first CD corp card.
Corp card? Cool.
Yeah, I think so.
And its effect is whenever you draw an agenda, you may reveal and install it. It is 3 trash costs and a whopping 4 influence. This is a
it's-
weird card.
It's
and
fast advanced
cool.
into techie.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah. Fits in PE, in my opinion.
Yes.
Because
Yeah,
you
for
play a
sure.
lot of 3-1s. Now you
absolutely.
res this, and everything you draw a lot of agendas in PE.
Absolutely.
So now, like, installing and scoring it is an option.
So the basic idea is to get this on the board, res it, maybe even protect it, because it's not that hard
Probably,
to trash.
Protect
Yeah.
this instead of an agenda because
Oh, yeah,
the
for
agendas
sure.
are coming out easily.
And then you draw in a 3-2, a 3-1, even a 4-2 in some circumstances. You immediately put it on the table and you score it out. And that's probably the easiest way to score a Cronus project without
Yeah,
being
and
interrupted.
what I like is that it it doesn't require you to like create a new server or
Right.
anything. It
Nothing
just says
ridiculous.
install it. So
You can put this in a
even
protected
Mushin,
server.
exactly. So even Mushin, you need to install a new server.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This lets you put the agenda behind something.
You can put it in a protected server.
For sure.
That's true.
Yeah.
That saves a click.
Yeah. I guess its downside is you don't know when you're going to draw an agenda.
Yeah.
But
unless you
Unless you use a card that came out recently, which is Heritage Committee,
Yep.
a Jinteki card.
Yeah,
You draw
very
two
true.
cards, put an agenda on top. Next turn, you know you're going to draw that agenda and install it.
Yeah, things like Daily Business Show that encourage that
That's true.
filter your draw. There's also a card coming up soon. The Sensei Actors Union does that too, also really well.
Absolutely.
and it doesn't say the first card you draw.
No.
So
Yeah.
if you
Whenever
play
you draw an agenda, right?
draw 3 cards in zero credit, draw 3
Anonymous
cards.
tip.
Anonymous tip.
Yeah.
You just draw 3 cards, probably an agenda in there.
Yep.
But you play the click,
You
so
did
it's
spend a quick, yeah.
not a fast advance, but
No, that's fine. But that's the thing. For influence, even I could see this in fast events like a near hub deck.
For sure.
The idea is that I put this out, I protect it, and then I draw an Astra script off from my 3 DBSs. I draw an Astra script or a Beal. It goes into a new server. I draw a card. I fast advance it.
I'm not sure
That's
about
good.
the timing structure here, but speaking of NBN, you have early premiere, which says
Yes.
at the start of your turn, put an advancement counter on a card that's installed.
Start your turns before you draw.
Okay.
Yeah.
So never mind.
Yeah,
No,
no,
it
but
doesn't work.
that's a good idea.
That
Or
would've
even
been nice.
like you can double Trick of Light in NBN and a
Yeah.
10 in or something.
For sure. Yeah, it's
What a neat card.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
very.
It's
I love
really
it.
cool.
Also, the flavor, Politics is a Dirty Business, but So is Business, by Krishnan Sarin, a new character.
Yep. Yeah, I like that a lot.
Cool.
all right. So next we have a current operation from Jinteki. Cost 3. Clones are not people.
Been saying it before.
Clones are not people. This card is not trashed until another current is played or an agenda is stolen, like any current. When you score an agenda, add clones are not people to your score area as an agenda worth 1 agenda point.
Yep.
So this is the antithesis to the
Freedom through equality.
Yes, which was the pro clones thing,
Yep.
and this is the anti clones thing.
Yep.
Yeah.
And they basically give you an agenda point for 3 credits if you're lucky, or not
Yeah.
lucky, but if it lands.
I think the way to play it is to manipulate it. You can play it like a normal current and then wait until you score an agenda. Or you can set up a turn where you're going to score an agenda, play this, and then score that agenda.
Yes,
Yeah,
and
I
I think
think-
that's definitely the way to do it.
And I think that's why this appears in Jinteki, because Jinteki has like Mushin no Shin, which lets you get out an agenda and probably still have a quick to spare to score it, no matter how big it is.
And you know what? So Mushin gets a really interesting play space.
Yeah.
Because you have 2 options, right? You can Mushin a card, and then for the last click, you can show, oh, by the way,
You can
clones
show
are
it
not
at the end of
people.
the turn. Of course you can.
And that could be a really cheeky way.
nice.
Yeah.
And maybe it encourages them to hit a streamer overrider.
Exactly.
Maybe it makes them think it's a double bluff. And
Yeah.
you're yoeming all you
Yeah,
want. Yomi all day.
he did Mushin an agenda.
Exactly.
Or Ronin.
Or
It's
Ronin.
not lost.
Or the other option is just to Mushin, and then next turn, clones are not people, advance, and you've
Yeah.
scored 4 points.
Yeah.
But, and on the Mushin front, like, if it's in Jinteki, because Jinteki is the corporation that wants the runner to be confused about the number of advancement counters on a card. Like, you can now, like, install advance, and they're like, I have no idea what that is, but it might be worth 1 more agenda point, and that's not a risk I can take anymore.
Yeah.
And if you want to go for a package that's only 5 threes, this allows you to score with only 2
It lets
agendas,
you get that 1 extra card.
which is a big deal. because-
Or you could, like you said, Mushin something like a Ronin, and they run it, and it's not a trap, but it's not that bad,
Yeah.
and they trash, and then next turn you just install advance, score a clone retirement,
Exactly.
and you just score 2 points.
yeah. No, clone retirement is really good with this
So
card.
good.
Yeah,
Yes.
absolutely.
Well, it's, yeah.
That's
It's
pure
like
mixed
half a
thematic, but
bluff.
Yep.
Seems good.
Yep, it's a pretty good card.
It's good with 2 ones. So where I see that card, I know 3 influence is pretty big, but
Sure.
we all seen New Angel Sol.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
the
just
current
good
ID.
because every time they steal something or you score something, you can bring back
this
an
back.
agenda.
It's expensive.
It is, but you can make money
Yeah.
in
if
New
you have the
Angel
money.
Sol.
Yeah. The only problem with this card is once you score it, it goes away because it adds to your score area. So it's not going to be there permanently in some weird sick New Angeles Sol thing.
Yeah,
You
but
can
if
run
you play
multiple
3,
ones. Yeah, I guess that could
yeah.
work.
you can replace it temporarily with something that lets you gain money.
Yeah, but I think the easiest way to play this, if you don't want to go the bluff way, if that's not your bag, or you don't want to spend a lot of money in Soul, is just like, say you play a typical kind of glaciary RP or any sort of Jinteki, and you take something like a Nisei and you put it in your scoring server and you install advance, and then next turn you can advance, play clones and not people, score it.
Yeah.
So you've gone and scored a 3-pointer with minimal investment. And if they take an next turn, you're upset.
Well,
'cause you
minimal
lost
investment is still like 7
investing
credit.
more, but it's like
Sure,
it
but
turns
that's
any
good.
card into a global food initiative.
Yeah.
Because they stole a 2-pointer, but to you it's a 3-pointer.
And this
global
is word
food is a 3
0
to
if they
4.
access.
Yeah.
This is
exactly.
word no point if they access it.
It
Yeah.
really isn't.
It's safe. It's a safe 1 point in your deck.
Because normally that's what you play.
Like it.
Like I think a 1-pointer is worth more than 3 credits.
Oh, for sure.
Because
Yeah.
the time that you spend advancing and installing
At
it
least
is
3
money.
times,
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
That's good. That's
Yeah.
really cool.
I like that
It
card.
has a lot of potential. Hashtag clones are not people.
No.
And we finally see more currents that I really want to play or
Yeah,
try,
absolutely.
and then the current battle comes in.
Yeah.
It's
There's
nice.
going to be a critical mass at some point where
Yes.
everyone's running currents.
That card's going to it's going to see a lot of play.
Yep.
All right. Next up, we have an NBN political asset. It's called the Sensei Actors Union. It costs 0 to res. It's 2 to trash. When your turn begins, you may draw 3 cards if there are no ice protecting the server. If you do, add 1 card from HQ to the bottom of R&D. So that's another powerful political asset.
Yeah. So this is the cheap one. This is free,
Yeah, this is the cheapest one.
which is good. The ability. So that's the thing. A lot of these political assets you want to protect for a while. On the basis that getting a net damage every turn is better than 1 net damage, obviously.
Yeah, for sure.
If this fires once, I'm cool. I'm happy.
You're okay.
Because
I'm
you've got an
fine.
anonymous tip. And if
Yeah.
it fires again, then you've made a great deal.
Yep.
Yeah.
Another thing worth noting that makes this, because this card is similar to DVS and also triggers on top of DVS.
Yeah.
But the idea is that it doesn't have to be one of the cards you drew again. Just like
Any
Harry
card.
Potter,
Oh, yeah, any card.
any card goes to the bottom of R&D. So on its own, that is really good.
Yeah. Yeah.
That is
That's
Jackson-esque.
And if you play near Earth, you already replace that card
It's
from a
Jackson
new
X
card.
esque
Yep.
plus filtering. It's really powerful. I like
draw.
potentially working with Celebrity Gift, getting a few more cards into your hand even at the beginning of the turn. You don't need to spend a quick, and then
Yep.
Celebrity Gift.
Yep.
I guess Celebrity Gift is maximum 5.
No, there's a
cards.
limit, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
It
but you
helps
can
you.
show
I mean,
only
you can
5
choose.
cards.
Like, I won't show the agendas.
Yeah,
or,
exactly.
The agendas.
And this is the kind of thing that I don't think you have to res right away. Like I've been trying it. You throw
Yeah,
it on a
just leave
server. Right now, I don't need cards, or right now, I don't want to put something on the bottom of R&D, and you leave it.
Yeah.
And if the runners runs and accesses it, they honestly might not trash it. And then at that
They
point,
should.
they probably
They
should, because
should.
at that point, you just need the next Astro, and
Yeah.
you're good,
Yeah.
and you found it.
Yeah, it's great. Like, you res it when you think that you're going to get agenda flooding, just like, well, I guess I'll put this one at the bottom of the deck.
Yep.
And NBN has all these cards that work well with the bottom of R&D. They've got Willie Walkwell, who can draw from the bottom of R&D. I kind of like that. I like that NBN's place is at the bottom of R&D. That's what they're taking care of.
But at the same time,
Jinteki at the
Jackson
top of R&D.
reshuffles.
And
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. It's good, and 2 influence it's feasible to see this in other factions.
Probably.
Yeah, in a
Factions
kill deck.
that have more problem with card draw.
Yeah.
Like Wayland.
Yeah, maybe you just need a lot of cards.
Well,
Yeah.
we used to see anonymous tip in Wayland because they wanted to get the kill cards all of a sudden.
Exactly.
And this
It's like,
works.
say in Wayland, you drew your government takeover and you're bricking yourself. You
Yep.
don't know what to do with it. Just put it away.
Yeah.
Just don't worry about it. That's good.
Yeah,
Nice.
it's solid.
Is this me?
Yep.
All right. Hey, Wayland, welcome. So for 1 credit, we get the Commercial Bankers Group. It's a political, again, 2 to trash, 2 influence. And this one simply reads, when your turn begins, gain 3 credits if there's no ice protecting the server. Money
So you
is speech.
You gain 2 credits the first time,
Yes.
and then every subsequent turn you'll gain 3 credits.
It's a lot of money.
This is the
It's a lot of money.
highest money printing card that we've ever seen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Click, no clicks
Yes.
for 3 credits.
Per no click.
Yeah, so you divide by 0.
This is
it gets out of hand.
Infinite money.
Infinite.
Easily goes
Infinite money.
into Gagarin, like we were saying.
Yeah, for sure.
Put a paywall implementation over this so that
mean-
you can't lose money on this.
And even early game, you install this, they're
cares?
scared to run because they
cares?
might think you have C-Source or an agenda, and they're scared of mid-season. You just res it, you just net it too.
Yeah.
And then turn after, you're even richer.
And
what
none-
are they going to do? Run it?
Yeah.
And then fear dying?
Again,
Seems so good.
I want to repeat with all these like horizontal type decks. I've been playing a lot of them. I'm playing a lot of Gagarin. I've been playing my HP horizontal deck, which I swear by. And the idea is that these decks will also almost always run Museum and Temple.
Yeah.
So these cards are
Even
they're
when
cheap to
they
trash,
trash
but they're
it.
coming back.
So you res it for 3, and
Yep.
then it comes back. If you play things which I think you easily could, like team sponsorship and turtlebacks. So you made money installing it. You resed it for free. They trashed it. It comes back with the team sponsorship. You get more money.
Yep.
It's absurd.
Yeah,
It
it is.
honestly is absurd.
And none of these political assets are unique.
No.
You
Nope.
could put a lot of these out there and put a lot of pressure on the runner.
There is a small problem that Wayland has, which is honestly not that hard to solve other ways. But the idea where you need the runner to make a run just so you can land a C-source.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I just put agendas in the open, but this is a good way to do it too.
It's even better.
Yeah, better. Well,
Scoring
then
an
you score
agenda
is fine.
I know, but at the same time, like if you got richer than you late game, even if you scored early game, sometimes you lose. This lets you go into mid and late game rich.
Yep. That's quite fine.
Yeah.
Another thing that I think we can mention with the politicals is there's a card called Advanced Assembly Lines.
Yeah.
Lets you put out one of these right before your turn begins.
Well, that's a good point.
So you can get the
That's a very
7 to an
good point.
empty server. You can let it fire once. That's good.
Yeah.
This is money. This is good money.
Doesn't work with tech startup because
miss
when
the
your
beginning
turn begins, everything triggered, and then you miss.
Yeah.
But
But assembly lines is a good one.
This is a fine horizontal card.
yeah.
Cool.
All right.
Okay.
Next is the Mumbad City Hall. So it's an asset in Wayland, costs 1 to res, 3 to trash, and it reads, click, search your R&D for an alliance card, reveal it, and play it or install it, paying all install costs, and then shuffle your R&D. So this lets you search a card for a click, but also lets you play it.
Yep.
So you did not spend more click than
That
just...
card might as well have been in your hands.
Exactly.
Which is absolutely nuts. We've
It
never
is
seen
nuts.
a tutor in this game for the corp side which lets you search and install the same. We have cards like Levy University came out and it says search pay credit, put it in hand.
Even on the road side, like hostage and special order don't work that efficiently.
No, they don't.
This is really efficient.
This
But
is
it
really
only
efficient,
works
and it
on the
doesn't
alliance
even-
card. But
Look,
it doesn't
yes.
say alliance from outside your faction. So
No.
you could include alliance cards in
Yeah.
your faction. It
Wayland
still
Alliance
works.
cards, and have we seen Wayland Alliance cards yet?
Yeah, in the future. Not
Okay.
yet. But this
Works
might sound ridiculous at first, but I think this might be the best card in the pack.
It
And
sounds ridiculous.
It's not obvious, but what it
Okay.
is. But
We need to see what those other
No.
Alliance cards
Alliance cards are a museum.
Okay, this is the thing.
Okay, museum is
And
red
Mumbad the temple? No.
Yes,
yeah.
Temple.
Temple as well.
Yep.
Anything that have deck restriction is an alliance card.
Okay, so you're playing horizontal deck. You have 3 of these. You have 3 temples. You have 3 museums.
You're disgusting.
Yeah, I know. But all those cards are incredibly important.
Yeah.
This
Yeah,
is
yeah.
basically museum 4 and 5.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you install it.
But this is the weirdest thing
Ugh.
about it, and the ruling came out, and I don't entirely agree with the ruling. I don't think it makes the most sense. But this is what you can do with this card that makes me really excited. So the weird thing about this is that you play or install and then shuffle R&D. A lot of the times, the decks will say like, I think, what's it called? Express delivery, or no, what's special order says, look at it, shuffle it, then add it to your HQ, to your grip.
Yep.
This does the opposite. So what that means is that the corp can, and this is actually really important because I don't think any other card does this. If I am the corp and I'm using this ability, I have to pick up my R&D and I can't shuffle it. I'm not allowed to shuffle it. As soon as I start shuffling it while searching, I am breaking the rules. And why that's important is because you can play an operation knowing what the top cards of your deck are.
Yeah, you can play an operation that, say, draws you cards.
Exactly.
Knowing what the top cards of your deck are.
Specifically, there is
Oh, you're right.
2 influence. Yes. For 2 influence, there's an alliance card called Heritage Committee.
Yeah,
Yep.
for sure.
And what you
Zero
can do...
influence if you have 6 Jinteki.
Yeah, but I even think
but
keeping
even
one in your
by
deck is fine.
itself.
So the idea is that you can pick up your deck,
Yep.
you look at the top 3 cards, and you think, do I want these right now? Mm-hmm. And if you do, you find a heritage.
Yep.
And you play it. And the best thing on top of it is that you take heritage, you take 1 card from HQ, and you put it on top of your R&D.
And then
And
you
it gets
shuffle.
shuffled back
then you
into the
shuffle
deck.
it. So it's gone. So if it has an agenda you didn't want, it's gone.
I really like that. It's a I can play player thing where
really
you have
good.
to like think about all different
Yes.
alliance and which
Yes.
one is the best one at that point.
Yeah.
I mean, everyone that comes from Magic or gaming in general knows how tutor and deck building and decks are
And how powerful
are
tutors
amazing.
are.
So this is really good.
Well, okay.
Yeah.
The weird thing about the ruling that I don't entirely understand is something like a special order and SMC, you can fail to search. Mm-hmm. According to Damon Stone in the FAQ for this card, is you can't fail to search, but I don't see how that's provable.
It's not
You'd have to
provable.
call over a judge.
What
Yeah,
if
you
you have
call
no
judge.
alliance?
Because that's the thing, is currently the rule is, what people were saying originally, and what I was excited for, is the ability to spend a click to look at my deck and decide, am I going to play my heritage? No. And shuffle and put it back.
Yep.
Again, heritage?
Yep.
Nah. Put
Yep.
it back. But the idea is that if you have an alliance card and you can afford to play or install it, you have to do it.
Yeah.
Well, you can always like put down the Mumbad temple.
Exactly.
It's never bad.
Yeah.
But you can only do that so many times. But sure. No, that's fine.
But then you have to reshuffle. So maybe like you said, the cards on top were super good for you. No agenda, just card that you needed at that point.
Yeah,
and you don't want to find
your Museum
something.
of History is shuffling cards back into your RNG.
Exactly, so that matters.
This is going to be useful.
Because now the museums come back.
But you do have to shuffle every time. So even if you put back your
That's
RNG,
fine.
you'd have to shuffle.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Okay.
But that's crazy. That's honestly crazy. Once we get cards, some say there's some alliance card that lets you play an operation or something like that.
Ugh.
You can start doing things like power shutdown
That'd be
safely.
nice.
You can start doing things like accelerating diagnostics safely.
It makes me so much more excited. Like, I was already interested in the alliance ability. It makes me so much more excited to see what else is going to come.
One influence.
Are we going to see an alliance agenda?
The ability to see your deck and then make an intelligent play and then shuffle your deck is nuts. Mm-hmm. Let alone pull out temples and museums whenever you want. This is a really good card.
Yeah, and only one influence.
Yeah, one influence. I know
1/3 is always good. 1 to res, 3 to trash.
That's good.
It's good.
Oof.
Good card.
Our next card is Bailiff. It is a Wayland Barrier Ice. It costs 2 to res at 0 strength. It says whenever the runner breaks a subroutine on Bailiff, gain 1 credit. It has 1 subroutine. It says end the run.
2 influence.
It's 2 influence. And that's pretty good.
Yeah, 1 would have been like broken influence.
It would have been kind of broken. Yeah.
And NBN would love a card for 1 influence.
One influence, I would have been upset.
Yeah.
As a Wayland player.
Yeah.
I wish Wayland had more nice things.
Yeah,
There were more Wayland.
Yeah, but you already have all the barriers in Wayland. One
Barriers-
more.
You
One more.
don't want barriers.
This is another. It is a solid barrier, though.
It is.
It is.
I mean, it's not solid because it's 0 strength.
Yeah.
But it's solid in that you'll make your money back almost certainly.
Yeah.
So the interesting comparison is between this and pop-up.
Yeah.
So NBN has pop-up window, which there's a 2 credit tempo swing of sorts they gain, and then you can choose whether or not you want to come in, and it doesn't end the run. Mm-hmm. Now this is the kind of ice that I've always wanted in the game. I usually like to play aggressively early with Wayland.
Super cheap ice.
Yeah,
And
if this doesn't get parasited, which is its obvious weakness being 0
Yeah.
strength.
yeah, but at the same time, if they waste a parasite on
it's
it
fine.
for
It's
1
2.
or
I know.
of their influence,
Yeah.
oh, that's not a big deal.
But the idea is that for not a lot of money, you can res this for free with a Mumbad Temple.
Yep.
That
And it will be useful later in the game.
it will always make you money.
Yep. It's either going to stop the runner or make you money. You're not losing with this card.
Yep. And it doesn't matter how they break it. It doesn't say when they use an icebreaker. It doesn't say anything. Just they break it.
Yeah, and also good to note that it says whenever it breaks a subroutine. So if you add subroutines
You could
to
have
it,
subroutines. Sub boost,
Nets you more.
TLDR from earlier.
Yep.
Yeah.
From Data and Destiny.
That's the only risky part is sub boosting
Yeah.
Bailiff.
No,
zero
I
strength.
wouldn't
I
spend
know, it's a
the time
liability.
to do it.
No, but it's cool.
It's cool. It's a
Yeah.
very cool idea.
So maybe you can make 2 credits when they're running.
Yeah.
Shadow. It's good.
Basically.
It's good. No, it's an end to run and it makes you money. That's what Wayland wants.
Yeah.
It does compete, I guess, with Ice Wall, which is 1 credit less.
I
But
know.
A little bit cheaper.
And Ice Wall, you can res
You can
its
boost.
strength if you want.
how often have you done that?
A couple times.
A couple times,
Yeah.
I suppose. But you know what? Money's good.
Yeah,
That's how you land mid-seasons.
nice barrier.
cool.
Sorry. So our final card in this pack is an upgrade. It's a Wayland upgrade. For 2 credits, you can get this region. It is called Surat City Grid. Whenever you res a card in or protecting the server, not including Surat City Grid, you may res another card, lowering the res cost by 2. It's a region, so you're only getting 1 of these per server, and it's 3 trash cost, which is respectable. Less
Yep.
than the res cost. Not bad.
Yeah.
I mean, greater than. Yeah.
And if you look at the cool card art, you can see that the city hall is in the middle
That's
there.
right.
So
Yeah.
it's the same building there.
Very nice.
We have built a world. Mm-hmm. That's a world building.
The political center of Mumbad. And I think this is a card we all like.
This is the card
I think.
that I was the most excited for immediately out of this pack.
Me too.
And
Me too.
I've done a whole bunch of testing with it.
Yeah.
And let me tell you, weird stuff can happen really
Yeah.
fast.
Yeah. Let's start in faction and then spread
Yeah. Okay.
out. So in faction, Wayland has a lot of cards that are in this 2 credit sweet spot. We just got Bailiff. We already have Merumati. We have Contract Killer. We have Capital Investors. Both these assets we got in the same pack fall under that. It can res so many things outside of its own server.
Yep.
But of course, within server, you can cascade. You can res 1 card, then res every other card, as long as you have the might to.
Yeah.
Each one of them getting the 2
And it's
credit
also
discount.
only an upgrade, so you can put something else, like an
You
asset.
can put an asset there.
So-
You can.
Sorry.
I was basically, you can easily use this to res things outside of turn, just like an executive boot camp or something like that, and get past a blackmail kind of deck, things like that.
So resing out of turn was already something Wayland was pretty good at.
Yeah.
And this is good for that, so you don't say have to put an executive boot
I
camp
know, but
in.
this
No,
is way
this-
better than everything else they got
yes,
to
it is.
res out of
It's-
turn.
it's definitely
this
way
is the
better.
best. Like,
executive boot camp's pretty good. But no, it's great.
This is the best.
okay,
This is the
so
best.
so let's say you play Blue Sun,
Yeah.
and you have the thing that prints money.
Which thing?
Banker Group?
You gain
the
3
Shark
credits.
Tank. Oh no,
No,
the Bankers Group.
the one
Yeah,
we
yeah.
just saw.
Sure.
So you installed this
Bankers
with Surat City Grid,
Yeah.
and you put an ice protecting it.
Yeah.
Before the start of your turn, you can res everything,
what?
bounce ice, gain money from it because you paid two less,
And there's the combo.
and then you gain 3 credits.
There's the combo.
That's nuts in Blue Sun.
That's all, that's all in
pretty funny.
faction.
That's
yeah.
a way better way to res ice for cheaper,
Yeah.
and then bounce them back in your hand to gain
Yeah.
credit.
You can
while
use-
protecting an asset that prints money.
You can use not just an asset, but you can use like that server as your economy engine. Like
It
the
can be
entire
any
server.
It can be any server, which is nuts. It's like I'm gonna play Blue Sun. I'm gonna have a launch campaign or an Adonis.
Yeah, why
I'm gonna
not?
res Surat, les Adonis, and then say, oh, now I want my toll booth off R&D,
For
Yeah.
sure.
and then I gained
Yeah.
money doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Against blackmail? Woo.
Yeah.
Who cares? Just res things.
For sure.
Out of
want,
turn.
If you want to maximize this, there's a card that came out in the last cycle that was kind of underwhelming, even though it introduced a new mechanic, and that was Worlds Plaza. Lets you install on the server and then install more assets onto it, also gaining a 2 credit discount.
Yeah.
And that's a way to also just get more and more triggers out of this region. Install Worlds Plaza, install Pad Campaign, Contract Killer.
Best is to install something that you can trash.
Yes,
So you can
keep
replace
on doing
it with something else.
That's what I'm thinking,
Like
Contract
something,
Yeah,
or
that's what I
or
found out, is-
Something that you can trash, get something from
Like I think
your...
launch campaign's really good.
Yep.
Advanced
Launch
assembly
campaign's great.
lines is the best.
Yeah.
Advanced assembly lines gets nutty fast.
So this triggers every time you res something in or protecting this server.
Correct.
Yeah.
So this chains, which is it's crazy good.
So that's the weird thing about this. If say I have 2 bailiffs on the server,
Yes.
they run the first one. I'm gonna res this and break even and res that bailiff and then res the deeper bailiff. But sometimes you don't want to do that because it basically tells the runner this is the next piece of ice.
Sure, but that's the Wayland thing. That's a Wayland
that's true.
thing.
Yeah.
It's economical, but sometimes showing them what ice they're going to hit, and then they can decide whether they want to actually break and end the run.
Yeah.
which
So
is
instead
not
of resing
taxing.
the next dice, you res the one over HQ.
Exactly,
You res the one over
yeah.
R&D.
You might want to do
and
something.
then
like
if they
that.
continue, you res and you res.
I think the
other
best
guy.
is just res pad campaigns, res
Yeah.
things that
Yeah,
are no
yeah.
surprise. So that's cool.
That's awesome.
That's pretty neat.
Yeah.
So I've been having fun with this. I've
Yeah.
been playing this in HB. I've been finding success in both the Foundry and ETF. And there's a card called Brain Taping White House, which I am surprised didn't get as much play as it does. It just is a 1 to res 4 to trash, which is good numbers. And it says when you're resing a Bioroid ice. I don't think it says during a run. It just says when you res a Bioroid
When you res
ice.
Bioroid Dice, lower its res cost by 1 for each unspent quick the runner has.
Right. And so inside the normal game space, no extra click shenanigans. The most you can get for each one of these, which aren't unique, is 3 credits.
Yes.
Because the runner's spending 1 click to run, then they have
Yes.
3 unspent clicks.
They have 3 left.
Yeah.
The idea is that if you have a Surat, and then say you put a brain taping in that server, or say you have 2 brain tapings hanging out in remote servers.
Okay, let's say.
Let's say. And then you res like
Oh,
a
no.
Jackson or an Ash in your Surat City
Yes.
grid.
Yeah.
You res that right when the runner's turn starts, but they still have 4 clicks.
Yeah.
So then you res whatever ice is on that server, and you reduce the cost if it's a Bioroid by
6
10.
total? What? 10?
If you have 2.
Oh, if you have 2, yeah.
And then you res the next piece on that server by 10, and then you res the next piece on that server by 10, and then you res a piece of ice on HQ by 10.
Yep.
Yeah, it's okay.
I resed like all the Heimdalls in the game for no money.
But the setup is pretty hard.
The setup
but
isn't
that's
that hard.
nice. It isn't?
It isn't that hard.
Nice.
If you're playing the Foundry, you're always going to be drawing ice.
That's the thing. Like
Uh-huh.
I think the best combo that it came with was the Foundry, and then if you play Bioroids, or just even if you do it without brain taping, you just play Next Dice.
Yeah.
The idea was that you
Next dice fits really nice.
Yes,
Next
for
is
sure.
great. So you play with Foundry, you have Surat City Grid, you put in you protect it with some ice, some Next Dice. You put in advanced assembly lines. You res advanced assembly lines, you get money. You get a res a piece of ice on that server. You can do this on your turn.
Yeah, for sure.
On your own turn.
Yeah, for sure.
So then you get another piece of that same ice.
Yeah.
Then you can use the ability on
res
Surat
something
to
else.
install something, and then you can res.
Yep.
And it's
How about you install the ice you just drew?
I don't know if the timing window works. It might. I'd have to think about it.
No, it does.
It does.
Yeah, because you res assembly lines.
Yeah.
Which
Search.
reses another piece of ice, which then lets you search, and then you can trash assembly lines to install the ice you just searched for.
I know, but then you get another Surat trigger because you res the first ice.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if you get that one. That's worth FAQing.
Oh, okay, I see.
Yeah, but it's gross.
It's nice.
It's a lot of
It's really,
free
really
money.
nice.
Yeah, it's great.
And that's the thing is like Next Dice, you just need to get it resed, and Next Dice is 2 to 3 credits besides the big ass sentry, and it's fine.
So overall, Bioethics is the card that empowers the current deck
Bioethics, yeah.
the most. But at the same
I don't
time,
know.
the Wayland cards are so nice.
Whalen cards are very
Because,
nice.
like,
I'm really excited to see
Clones Are
what
Not People is
Wayland...
amazing.
I know as much
Yeah.
as we are scared of this card,
I am scared.
we haven't seen that much IG in Montreal to date.
True.
And
Yeah.
I think this is just an exciting card that a lot of people see this card and say, that looks fun. And it's going to show up.
Yeah.
And that's a good card. But I think even the Wayland stuff is just nice.
That is really nice.
I'm going horizontal all day.
I was feeling a little underwhelmed when I first opened this pack,
Okay.
but when I started looking into the cards, I got a lot more excited. It was good.
Yeah.
There's some really, really great cards in here.
Really good stuff.
I think this is even better than Business First, and I thought that was a great pack.
Yeah.
In terms of whether we're going to see more political stuff in the near future, who knows? Maybe. That could be a permanent subtype that the game continues to support.
Yeah,
But
maybe.
even if not...
We've seen more public agendas.
Yeah. I recommend runners, get your scrubbers, get your Parishas, because 2 credits is a lot. It's going to be a lot.
Yeah. Oh, and we should have mentioned that Scrubber and Parisha do not combo with Political Operative.
Oh, yeah, they don't.
You're right.
That's worth
Yep.
knowing. Skulljack does.
Yay!
Skulljack.
Skulljack.
Thanks so much for watching. Stay tuned. We'll have more. I think the next footage that's coming up is some games from a store championship.
Cool.
Sure.
Thanks for watching.
Nice.
Bye, everybody.
See ya.
Ciao. Do you want to do a 10-minute?